And Beckham saw Sullivan off his line. Oh!
This is a private member's bar.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Exclusively for the supporters of the greatest football team in the world.
Cleared, Giggs with a shot. Sheringham!
Manchester United.
Beckham into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it!
And welcome back to another episode of the Biggie and Smalls podcast. After a brief hiatus, man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. United beating Shitty in the FA Cup, interesting developments in the policies from Ineos on the transfer policies, and Ten Hag still hasn't been sacked. I hear he's on vacation. I don't know. I wonder where the hell he is and what he's got on his mind. Also, go give us a follow on Instagram at Biggie and Smalls. We want to hear from you. What's your thoughts on United's performance in the FA Cup? Should Ten Hag be sacked? How do you feel about the new Ineos transfer policies? And also the future of Bruno and Sancho. Predictions, anyone? Shoot us a message. D, how are you, man? What's going on?
Not too bad, Scooter. How's the things with you?
No complaints. It's been, I guess, almost 2 weeks since our last episode or whatever. Just holiday weekend over here, Memorial Day weekend, and different things going on. So, yeah, we got a lot to catch up on. Obviously, big win. I think everyone. I know at least I was surprised we won, but I was very stunned by that FA Cup win over there, and I'm not complaining by it at all. And made it even better. It was all the young kids who led the way for us. What was your thoughts on that, man? Jeez.
Yeah, well, I think that was the reason why we had a little hiatus. I think we're all hungover from celebrating. No, I was. Before the podcast before the match, we both talked about our predictions. I had United winning 3-2. I just had the sneaky suspicion that the Ten Hag getting Varane back, getting Martinez back, especially Varane's last match for the club. That's huge for him, especially getting Martinez back.
Absolutely.
And obviously being able to like literally set up the team the way he wanted it. Probably the first time he's had everybody in the back line, at least apart from Luke Shaw.
Absolutely. And I mean that's at least from that standpoint. I mean that was big, absolutely. I mean, and I was just stunned by it. But yeah, it was incredible.
No, it was a great performance, and I watched the interview with Varane after the match, and he talked about the way they had it set up, the way Ten Hag pretty much explained the way City were going to attack them, and they tried to nullify that, which they did. They didn't. They outside of Walker's shots from outside the box. I don't really remember Onana have to make any saves, and he should have saved. The goalie let him, but United got the result, and it was a good way to end the season on a high, especially considering how dismal this season's been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it was, even and for the fans too. Most importantly, I mean, it's just been abysmal all season long. So to win a silverware and do against your city rival, it was unbelievable. And again, I'm super encouraged by seeing goals by the Young Bucks or whatever. So yeah, there's really not much bad I can say about that. I mean, Ten Hag, the tactics, he played it right. I mean, and yeah, I mean, you can't really be that upset about anything about that. I mean, shifting into Ten Hag's future. We're going on almost 10 days since the FA Cup final, and we still haven't had a decision of that. Obviously, we all saw and read the reports going into the FA Cup. I know we were all pretty kind of a little disappointed that was leaked to the press, especially, what was it, 48 hours, give or take, before the game. How are you feeling about there being no decision? Because I have my thoughts on it. I feel like this is maybe the one knock that we could give on Ineos. Like what do you need? Why has there been 10 days? Like I almost feel like it's I know you want to do your due diligence and get it all right, but this decision should have been made like whatever analysis you're doing. It's not like we had a ton of European games or different games that were going on. A lot of this stuff could have been done during the season, and could have been more of a formality. Like I don't understand, and I feel like it's hampering us too because now we can't. We're kind of in a limbo mode as far as who we want to bring in as transfer players. Do certain players want to come back because they don't know the status of who the manager is? I don't know. I feel like this is the one thing I'm a little frustrated with Ineos.
Well, we can just watching how the whole takeover happened. Not the takeover, but the 25% minority stake they took in the club. That seemed to drag out for months. So
Yeah.
you don't see. No, I do think they have the right intentions in mind. But when it comes to Ten Hag, I don't know. It's hard to really understand what's going on because we see reports every day that they're still interviewing candidates with McKenna now. Obviously stay out, which I'm glad. I think it would be too early for him. I think it would have been a Frank Lampard Chelsea situation there if they brought in McKenna. At United, I think it's just a job that's just too big for him at the moment. I want to see what he does with Ipswich. If he does a phenomenal job with Ipswich, keeps him up, gets him in the top 12. It might be able to sit there and he plays attractive football. And he might be a name you earmark. He knows the club. He's been with the club before under the coaching staff of Solskjaer. But I don't know. Ineos seems to be dragging their feet. No, I believe a lot of the reports that are floating around saying, oh, they're still interviewing. They're still trying to get someone in here. They're still reaching out to certain agents. That could be just the media just loving the fact that United are still a hot topic point even when the season's over. United, hated adored and never ignored mindset. That's the way United have been. So I think that the media is also just stirring up the pot as well. Maybe Ineos have turned around, and I'm reading reports where they say they're siding with Ten Hag, considering the multiple things he had to deal with and the vast injuries he had. He also had to deal with the Ronaldo interview. He dealt with that. He had to deal with then the Greenwood situation. He dealt with that. He had to deal with the Anthony situation. He dealt with that. Then he had to deal with the Sancho situation. There's so many different things that he's had to deal with throughout the course of one season. And at the end of the day, did they not? No, they didn't perform well in the league, finishing 8th. But he still brought them European football, and he still won a major trophy. So, considering everything put into the pot of, is he a good enough manager for United? Is he not? I think the players sort of proved that they can and they will play under his guidance, as we've seen against City. But is it a really stamp of approval from Ineos, the fact that they haven't come out? The one thing that really haven't come out that really bothers me, they haven't come out and exactly showed any kind of support to Ten Hag, saying, listen, everything you're reading is not true. We support our manager. Ten Hag's going to be the manager next season. Like, they haven't come out and said that. If they just come out and say that, it puts everything to bed. No, there's no more articles coming out that they're going to talk to Pochettino. They're going to talk to Tuchel's agent. There's none of that going on. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the one concerning thing for me. It's not the fact that Ineos it's just that they're talking about them. It's just the fact that they haven't come out to show support. Whereas you see other teams have come out and got their managers and supported their managers and so forth, whereas United are still, like you rightly said, we're in limbo as fans. We don't know if Ten Hag's going to be there or not. The one big thing, and we talked about it months ago when we talked with Sam Luckhurst on here, where he said, and we've said it too, that Ten Hag is the one manager that, despite the performances, despite the results not going his way, United fans don't seem to haven't turned on him. You don't ever see the Ten Hag out banners or the planes going over the top of Old Trafford. If anything, and I watched a lot of the post-match analysis of the FA Cup, and you could just see the fans really took to Ten Hag, especially delivering another trophy, like you rightly said. Beating a rival is one thing, but to do it, that second goal was brilliant, and to do it the way he did,
absolutely.
And when you hear rumors now, I don't know if you've seen Amrabat's brother came out and give an interview saying that Casemiro was actually fit. He was actually healthy, but because he was dropped, Ten Hag told him earlier in the week that you're not going to play, you're not going to start. And Casemiro supposedly said, well, take me out of the team then. I don't want to play at all. Well, that's another. No, again, it's another leak. And we keep talking about these stupid leaks a year from the club. Like, if Amrabat's going and telling his brother that, then he should have told him, listen, I'm telling you this in confidence. Don't repeat it to anybody. He actually went out and did a live interview like on camera.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a person from the Sun saying, "Oh, my source was Ambrose." No, he legitimately sat down
No,
and said
yeah.
on camera that Casemiro was healthy, he was fit. He was dropped and he wasn't happy, and he felt that he just didn't feel like being part of the team. Which, if that's the case, I'll take this £85 million bid. Supposedly Saudi Arabia is putting in for
Yeah,
Casemiro.
I mean, honestly, it seemed like he, especially, if that's the case and that's a true, accurate story or whatever, then, yeah, I mean, he basically has had and already had one foot out the door. And if you're fit and you don't want to play in the FA Cup final and help your team try and win a piece of silverware, then bon voyage, my friend.
Yes, no, exactly. And I feel like the players that played on the pitch are the players that actually, I think, genuinely wanted to play for Ten Hag. Like, I think Rashford, he didn't do much going forward. That ball that he played out Garnacho
Yeah,
for the second goal was
that
unreal.
was, yeah, which is like so frustrating because it's like Jekyll and Hyde was like, that whole build up, that whole sequence was just incredible.
Exactly. And I just know he worked his socks off. And obviously you seen his reaction at the end of the match where he seemed to be emotional. It seemed to be a little tears. I don't know if it was just relief that the United got successful. It's his boyhood club, or is it,
Yeah. Could
or
be a
was it?
lot of things.
It was. You look at it two different ways. Was he happy? It was a tears of happiness that United. No, he's had a turbulent season. He's not played well. He's been under scrutiny, rightfully so, based on some of the performances. Or was it tears of sadness and meaning that is this possibly his last match? Because as we all know now, Mbappe's gone to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
PSG supposedly has earmarked Rashford to be his natural successor in that left wing role. So was that his last match playing for United? I don't know. There's just,
You never
like you
know.
said, as United fans, like you and I joked in
Well,
text message earlier, like we're almost relieving ourselves to just being used to disappointment just based over the last few years.
yeah.
But
Well,
we'll see what
it's
happens.
like you think like back to Rashford. It's or to the broader transfer policy is like, I mean, what was it? Maybe 2 seasons ago. I mean, we're probably gonna see. Not probably. I say we will see digit like people leaving the club. Like I don't. It's probably gonna look like a totally different team next year, which I'm not complaining about. I mean, I in back to Ten Hag or whatever. It's like I've gone back and forth on my emotions or my feelings on him, and when you take a step back and a broader point of view, the man did deal with a lot, and there was a lot of injuries and with the season, and he ended up delivering against one of our biggest rivals. So I'm kind of leaning towards the camp of I want him back, and I'd like to see what he could do. And I was listening to a podcast earlier about it because he has 1 year left on his deal. I believe it's one deal left. If he
Yeah.
does come back, I feel like you'd have to offer him an extension on the contract, because if you just bring him back for this 1 year, you're basically saying, all right, it's another prove it or lose it deal, basically.
No, exactly. Like you rightly say, he's got 1 year left in his contract. He signed his 3-year contract when he started as United manager. So, no, do United go ahead and no, the Ineos group seem to be very financially and business savvy. Are they going to go ahead and say, listen, let's see what he does under this new structure that we're putting in place, and if he's not successful, then we don't have to at least pay him severance. We don't have to pay the remainder of his contract. So they could do that and not pay out any money. So we'll see. It's really hard to say exactly what's happening. It's really annoying being in limbo, but I'm the same as you. I do want him to stay just to see how he does under this new structure. It was probably one of the most unprecedented seasons in terms of injuries and so forth, and all the different kind of off-field issues he had to deal with. And he dealt with them well. I personally think he dealt with them the way you would expect a manager of Man United to deal with it. He's trying his best to keep the player power down you and I just talked about it the other day. We watched the '99
Oh
documentary
yeah.
on Amazon, and there's a really evident quote by Roy Keane after he got suspended after he got booked against Juventus when he did the bad tackle on Zinedine Zidane from a bad pass from Jesper Blomqvist. But
Yeah.
after the match, he said, "Listen," he goes, "Oh, I'm upset. Yes, I'm naturally going to be upset." But he goes, "No, there's no player bigger than the club. I'll be there to support the boys. I'll be there, but and to cheer them on and get the victory." That was the mindset in 1999. Fast forward 25 years now, and that should be the same mindset. And I think Ten Hag's trying to get that back in. He's trying to get that mindset of that. Man United's always going to be the top. That's as simple as that. Nobody else.
Yeah.
There's no player who's going to be bigger than him. And he's gotten rid of Ronaldo. He sent obviously Greenwood with his situation. He sent Sancho out.
Yeah.
The Sancho thing just annoys me, just in general.
I honestly, I'm sure you've seen his comments, like, one of his conditions if he comes back is Ten Hag has to be set. Like, who the fuck are you to make that demand? It's not like you were, like, any good at Dortmund. Like, goodbye. Fuck off.
You played well in the one leg of semi-final against PSG. But speaking of that, like Ten Hag, I felt did well because what it really annoys me, and the media seems to like I seen the media loves to like just stir it up again, but it seemed Klopp supposedly he didn't name anybody by name, but it seemed like a dig at Ten Hag when he says buying a player for 80 million and then send them out on loan because you don't know how to get the best of them. And then Mourinho said the same thing, but I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ten Hag did everything in his power to have Sancho play better. He sent him at the beginning. He was missing for the first few like the first month or two of the season because he sent him away to do private training to see a sports psychologist He did everything for him. He catered to the needs of the player.
Yeah.
And he came back, and I don't know if you've seen Benny McCarthy's. He's actually not going to be part of the coaching staff anymore. It's one of the contracts that Ineos is not renewing. His contract was up.
Yeah.
So Benny McCarthy was like the team coach, striker coach, if you will. He came out and he did an interview saying the reason why Sancho is never going to apologize is because Benny McCarthy tried talking with him instead of tried to mentor him. And he said the main reason why he won't apologize to Ten Hag is because what Ten Hag said to him was that, you can say I don't perform well or whatever, but you can't call me lazy. And I'm not going to have someone come out and call me lazy. And I'm like, okay, well, instead of throwing your toys out of the pram and throwing a little temper tantrum, why don't you go ahead and prove the manager wrong? Why don't you go out there
exactly.
and run the most distance out of every player on the pitch?
If you're gonna if someone's gonna tell me lazy, if you want to prove them wrong or do something about it, go out and do something about it. Like, have just an incredible performance, put in a shift on the field or whatever. I don't know. That kind of says a lot about his mentality and his mental strength, to me at least.
Exactly. Well, just to refer back to the '99 documentary, Nicky Butt talked about the time whenever in the '97-'98 season when he just didn't play well and he gave away the ball and Dortmund scored and Ferguson ripped into him and just blamed him. He's like, "You're the reason I'm out of Europe."
Yep.
And Nicky Butt was young then, but you didn't see Nicky Butt turn around. You didn't see Nicky Butt turn around and say, "Oh, I'm just going to I'm going to self-loathe. I'm going to throw temper tantrums." I'm like, no. He turned around. He's like, I need to pull my socks up. No, there's a man's game.
Exactly.
I need to play like a man.
Yeah.
And he started and played in the Champions League final the next season against Bayern Munich. So the mentality monsters of what like the likes of Real Madrid, for example, that don't ever want to concede that they're going to be beaten. I think that's what Ten Hag's trying to put in the team, and that's why another reason why I would love for him to stay on for just one more year. I would like to. The one thing I do want to see from Ten Hag, if he does stay, is I do want to see him make better in-match tactical decisions. There's too many times he made decisions this season.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you. It's he's too stubborn sometimes to I guess changes tactics or whatever. So yeah, that definitely is kind of frustrating. But man, honestly, is especially after we've gone, we've watched the '99. It's not like especially the Champions League final against Munich. I mean, it's not. Fergie was dead set on that 4-4-2 formation. I ended up working out for him though.
Oh, exactly, and
even switching up Was it Giggs on the right and Beckham on and whatever. But I mean, hey man, it ended up working out though. But I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with it. But again, back to Ten Hag. That's kind of like we both feel that way. That's both a big knock on him, at least for me.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's just one thing. I would say, like, he's still, in terms of management, he's still a young manager. He's not exactly, he's not been around for 20 plus years. Like, look at Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho came in with Porto in 2004. Jose Mourinho
Yeah,
started his career in management as Bobby Robson's translator at Barcelona. So
yeah.
no,
I
and
mean,
then he came to Porto.
he's like in the, to use a baseball, he's in like probably the third inning of his career, basically, or
Exactly.
like he's in the very beginning stages of it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I liked what he said. And he's got some of the media on strings here. Ten Hag does is they asked him like, well, what happens if I thought it was really disrespectful just the way they treated him. After I watched a lot of the post match, like the BBC, like,
Hmm.
Gary Lineker,
Yeah,
Alan
yeah,
Shearer,
yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff. Instead of like, congratulations, saying, "Do what? Like, I know you've had a rough season, but you got your boys to play well. No, well done, congratulations." Instead, they were like, "Why? Where was this all season?" And the first thing I tell you was because I had players that I didn't have majority of the season available. I had Martinez available. I had Varane available.
Yeah,
I was able to select my midfield the midfield I wanted to select.
yeah.
And but instead they just kept, and then they asked some questions like, "Oh, what do you think about your future here? Do you think you'll be here next season?" And his exact words was like, "Well, if they don't want me here, I'll leave and I'll go win
Y-
Chelsea trophies
Yeah,
elsewhere."
yeah. Which honestly, I love that answer because if they don't want him here, yeah, he probably will end up somewhere and win trophies somewhere.
Exactly. Put it this way, the fact that Vincent Kompany won 5 matches with Burnley this year, and he's now the Bayern Munich manager. That just shows you that like the the whole structure of different managers and all is just so upside down in my opinion. And like
Yeah, yeah.
United should consider themselves lucky. Like Bayern Munich now have a manager that won 5 matches, and that's it for Burnley. Like I get it,
Yeah.
they have a manager that won 5 matches in the Premier League, and they've now just hired him because no one else wanted the job. United now they shouldn't put themselves in the position that Bayern Munich put themselves in by getting rid of Tuchel, because now they had to go ahead and pretty much.
Well, they
I,
had
I don't like Company because he played for City, so they're scripting the bottom of the barrel, going after Company when they had Tuchel there. Tuchel was a Champions League winner.
yeah,
Ten
yeah.
Hag. So is United going to go ahead and go down the same road of letting go of a manager that could potentially, bring him back to, being successful, and all of a sudden then have to start looking for a manager that might not be a good fit for your club? Like it seems the Company might be just I wouldn't be surprised if Company's only there because Bayern Munich have earmarked Jurgen Klopp as being the next manager of Bayern Munich
Yeah, I
because they
mean
want him. They want him to
that
finish
wouldn't
his
be
year.
surprised. Yeah, maybe
He's just got,
after a season or two or whatever, and he ends up. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
yeah. So I don't want United to go down that road. United need to get away
Well,
from this fire manager and be like look at
I
Chelsea for
agree.
example.
Well, and and even and back to Fergie. I mean, there was several times where he was almost out the door. So, I do wish more teams. I know, you need results or but I do wish that teams would not be so quick to fire a manager when stuff immediately. I mean, now if it's a complete dumpster fire, but I think we could all recognize the signs or whatever. And what happened this year was like unprecedented, just between all the off the field stuff, the injuries and everything. So and then to go and cap off your season with a FA Cup win and end up in European football, I say kudos to the man. I mean, he dealt with a lot this year.
Oh, definitely. Like we just mentioned earlier, he had the Ronaldo situation, the Sancho situation, the Greenwood situation, the Anthony situation, and then also a lot of people don't talk about it. He was also in the middle of managing a club that was supposed to be getting taken over by multiple different parties.
Well, yeah, and in
So,
multiple different parties, and there was there was zero transfers in the January or whatever. So if had that not happened, I'm pretty sure that there would have been players to come in to compensate for basically having zero zero backs or no defenders or whatever. So yeah, I mean, dealt with a lot, but again, I think we both agree that the one knock on him was just his stubbornness to unchange his tactics.
Yeah, well, he's Dutch, so that's
Yeah.
honestly what happens. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. But like you mentioned about Fergie was almost out the door, and the one thing that saved his job and career at United was winning the FA Cup. So maybe,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Hey, maybe
maybe
history.
Ten Hag
Yeah.
is the same way.
Yeah, history tends to repeat itself. Well, it could go either way. The
Yeah,
last Dutchman who won an FA Cup for us got sacked, but maybe they'll do the opposite this time.
yeah.
All right, shifting gears. Ineos. I know this has been out for several days now. So they have a new transfer policy. It's basically age limit of 25 for new signings, no Galacticos. Style of play has to be set by technical director Jason Wilcox. Manager is going to be asked what position he wants to sign, not what player. And Ineos will then send their signings, a list of 3 per position to the manager to choose from. What do you think of these guidelines, D?
Well, I do like the policy of like no Galacticos and players over 25. I think the mindset there is they don't want to have an ever changing team. Like
Yeah.
if you go in like they tried that with Mourinho did that. Like we had Ibrahim was
Yeah,
in his
yeah.
30s. And there was times where like it was just right now. Then United were stuck with okay, what happens now? Like whenever Moyes took over, United had a lot of players near the end of their careers. The
Yeah,
Ferdinands, the
yeah.
Vidiches, the Van Persies, the Carricks, and
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So no, and you had that Patrice Evra's. We had a lot of players that were nearing the end of their career, and I think Ineos is trying to get through trying to get United into a position of instead of having it being a revolving door of players coming in and out of the club, I think they want to try to get a good structure, which is what no, I know we
Yeah,
keep talking about
or
the
like a core, a solid core.
well, I know we keep referring to like look at the class of 92 is a perfect example. The
Yeah.
class of 92 came in the United team in the 93, 94, 95 seasons, and they were literally the core, like you rightly said, the core of the team for almost a decade. So, or no, some
Yeah.
of them left earlier than others, but they were there for if not one of the
A
most
substantial
successful
portion of yeah.
the most successful period in United's history. If you think back on how many league titles, the Champions League, the treble, the FA Cups, the League Cups, and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I think that's their mindset on that. The one thing I don't understand is the premise of Jason Wilcox will dictate how the team will be played.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding that.
I'm glad because honestly, out of all of these, I don't really have an issue with any of these except for number 3. Like, I feel don't you? Because you played, collegiate. Like, I feel like the style of play should be set by the manager, right?
Yeah, and I think it should. And I think it's something that if
And
he's
first of
going to come
all,
with
if that style of play isn't already established, like throughout the, whether it's through the youth system all the way up to the senior level, then we're just doing the whole damn thing wrong to begin with.
Yeah, well, just look at the game model. We talked about this a few podcasts ago with the game model during the Gary Neville Ten Hag interview. The game model's there because look at the success the youth teams had, and no, the under 18s have been phenomenal. The under 21s have also you've had some of those players get promoted into the first team. The two players that actually scored the goals in the FA Cup final a few
Yeah,
weeks
all
ago were both
youngster. Yeah.
academy graduates. So they came through the academy. Like Garnacho and Menu won the Youth FA Cup with United 2 seasons ago. And then Garnacho got promoted to the team before Menu. But then there was a good part I noticed that it showed you Ten Hag at the League Cup final last year, where Ten Hag had his arm around Menu and was almost telling him listen, you're on course to be part of this. You're going to be on course to be part of this team. This is going to be you next year. You just keep doing what you're doing, keep working on your game, and you'll be on. And look what happened. He ended up scoring. He scored technically the winner of the match. But
Yeah.
I never understood that because I would understand if Wilcox came in as a manager or someone who's really established. Like he came in from Southampton, and I'm glad Southampton bit Leeds. That was great to watch. But I don't know how much influence Wilcox had on Southampton's set the style of play. I do
Yeah.
think that they need. I do think as a technical director, I think what needs to be rewarded there is that the technical director will be responsible to ensure that the style of play that's set by the manager and the senior team
Yeah.
needs to be literally passed down through
Yeah.
the different layers
Yeah,
of the
that
academy and so
I
forth.
agree with that. Basically the style of play that whether it's Ten Hag or whoever our manager is, that's what we are doing through the entire system. That
Exactly.
I agree with, which I believe maybe they left that or where I'm reading it wrong, and I hope that's it. But yeah, I think the style of play should be set by the manager.
Yeah, and I think it's up to the technical director to ensure that same mindset, the same philosophy, the same style of play is regurgitated through all levels of football throughout the club. So therefore, it's one seamless transition for the youth to come through.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, no, yeah,
No, I was just say I completely agree with you. Outside of of the five, three is the only one that I had any issue with. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have. I mean, like again, I mean, we're still in the honeymoon phase, I guess, of the Ineos era. So,
yeah.
obviously, Jim Ratcliffe, he's had a very successful business career. So I don't see why that wouldn't translate over into this. So. I'm very optimistic, and but I'm watching. So yeah, we'll see, man.
Well, I do like the one thing I do. The two that I really did like out of all of them was the support or like the somewhat setup they're going to have for the transfer system that United are going to implement, where the manager will go ahead and he'll be asked what position does he want? So he could this obviously this off season the transfer window, United's going to go after
Yeah,
another center back, possibly a right back, maybe even a left back because Shaw's injury prone, Malassi is playing.
yeah,
Dallo should be the starting right back, but he can also play left back. But you don't want to put so much dependency on one player to play two different positions. You want to have at least all top teams have at least two I wouldn't say world class, but two quality players at every position.
yeah.
So
Well,
United don't have that right now.
and briefly on Shaw, like I mean, I'm concerned about him because like apparently I think it was Southgate said like 2 or 3 weeks ago like there was a very small chance that he was going to be playing in the Euros for them this year. But now what I'm reading now is like, there's a real chance because obviously he's probably their best left back if we're, really being honest, or, the only natural one they have. So is he really ready to come back from his injury and then he's going to play a whole month of, two, three, whatever it is for the whole mat. Is he gonna be fit for that? And then he's gonna come back to us. So that's a concern. Just from a United style, that's concerning to me.
No, and I agree, and I think that's why I think this new setup system, system they're going to have set up for transfers is great because Ten Hag can go to them and say, okay, here's the positions I want, and then they can obviously collaborate with all I'm sure Ashworth's going to come in, and then Wilcox will talk with Ratcliffe and the Ineos group, and then Ten Hag will be able to talk with them, and then they're going to give them a list of three, so they're going to obviously put top targets one, backups two, and then the third like tertiary is going to be the third
Now,
one, but that at least
so
to get.
I want to pick your brain on this, because where do you want? What's your priority? Because I think we both, just because of the FFP or whatever, it's probably going to be pretty difficult for us to bring in basically everything we need. What do you want them to focus on? Is it a world-class striker to help, Hoyland and take some of the load off him? A center midfielder. I mean, take a more defender. Like, what would be your priority?
I think every top team has a spine that they live and die by. Like if you look at some of the most successful teams in the world over the years have always had a good goalkeeper,
Yeah,
a quality center back, a great midfielder, and then a top-notch forward. Like if you look back at the Real Madrid and the Barcelona teams that were dominating in Spain, like, and they all had that. Like Casillas,
Yeah.
Sergio Ramos, Toni
Mm-hmm.
Kroos, Modric, and then Ronaldo playing up front of
Yeah,
Benzema,
yeah.
and then Barcelona was the same way. When you had like Victor Valdez, good goalkeeper, then you had Carlos Puyol, Gerard Piqué, and then midfield was Xavi and Iniesta, and up front was Messi. Like you had that spine that was going through the team.
Yep.
And I think that's what United need to go out now and get themselves a spine. And I'm not talking like literally like a spine. I'm talking about just a metaphorical spine of having like Onana. I think is going to come good. I think he's showing it. Does he have some mental lapses? All goalkeepers do. Unfortunately, the problem is being a goalkeeper myself. There's nothing worse when you make a mistake because it's mistakes always for goalkeepers always end up being 90% of the time 95 being a goal. So it's always.
But if you make a mistake as a position player, you know, it might not lead to a goal. If you make a mistake as a keeper, I mean, the whole eyes are on you.
Yeah, exactly. The only way I can do the best analogy I can think for any of the American listeners that don't really understand football as much is like it's like the quarterback. A goalkeeper is like a quarterback. Quarterback throws an interception, it's a disaster. And especially if the other teams does a pick six and ends up being like the defining moment in the game. Same as a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper lets a goal go on and it ends up being the goal that knocks him out of the Champions League or loses a match or whatever. It's always the mistake is always made to be a lot bigger than it is. So I think Onana will be good, but I do think that you need to get another centre back to come in to partner Martinez. A right-footed centre back is going to be priority.
Mm-hmm.
A quick centre back, like someone that's got some. I'm not expecting them to be lightning fast, but I do want someone who's a good ball playing centre back that is not lightning fast, but Maguire is good. We talked about his character, but is he going to be? Is he the long-term plan for United for the next 4 or 5 years? No, like they need to get somebody in there that's going to be able to sit and play with Martinez, a right-footed right center back that can play with the ball and has a little bit of pace on them. I know they've earmarked the Everton center back that is a Brentwife.
Yep. And they've also been going after the kid in Portugal from Benfica. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But Neves, but I think they're asking for like an astronomical 85. Sum of money. Something crazy.
United's supposed to put in a 51 or 52 million euro bid, and Benfica were just balked at it and said we want 85. So Everton might be in the same boat, but here's the thing about Everton right now is that they were deducted points, as we all know, this past season for FIFA fair play rules, or no regulations in some manner. So United could probably take advantage of that and say, listen, like you're trying to you got to offload. You're trying to balance your books, so let us help you do that, but we're not going to pay over the odds. And I think, like you rightly said, Ratcliffe's a successful businessman. He's a savvy businessman. I don't think he's going to go in there and start paying over the odds like United have been doing over the last decade for players. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest transfer policy. I think it's going to happen is United need to get that spine back. Get a good center back, partner Martinez. Go ahead and get another holding midfielder. That's more that can complement Mainoo's game, because Mainoo's definitely got the technical ability to be able to go forward. I would love to see. Like the best way to describe it, and I hate to say it, but it's like the way you had Rodri, the way he complements De Bruyne. Foden, like Foden and De Bruyne, like they're able to just do what they want to do going forward, because Rodri is just like, and then John Stones falls on that gap too for Man City. So some of that, like the Toni Kroos, Modric kind of role that they eventually pick up as they get older, is what United would need to have. But someone that can also adapt to Ten Hag's the so-called high press. But we'll see. Well, I wouldn't mind, like you rightly said, another forward to take the pressure off of Højlund. The one thing that came out was a day or two ago. I wasn't happy about is that the United didn't extend Forson's contract.
I was trying to figure that out. And I was listening to someone. I'm drawing a blank on it, but they seemed to think that because I believe he's from London, that he might have wanted to leave and head back down towards that area. That's the only thing I can guess.
That's
And
what.
it kind of sucks too, because like he's leaving for free. So like we're gonna get nothing,
Exactly.
you know?
Well, yeah. So, and speaking of that, like speaking of leaving them free, like I know I heard, I don't know if it's a true report or not, but suppose United went ahead and optioned the 1 year contract for Greenwood's contract to
Oh
extend
yeah,
it to
yeah, yeah,
2026. It's a smart move because if they don't, they'll lose him for pennies on the dollar, if you will. But they
yeah,
can now actually
exactly.
there's more it gives
Well, they
United
could either, yeah,
more
they could either
leniency.
trade him, or they could, loan him back out to Dortmund. Because I was just reading earlier today that the that they want him back, for a loan.
Yeah.
Not to.
I was talking about with Greenwood though. Was Sancho's
Oh,
contract's
Greenwood.
okay?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no, you're good. There was Greenwood. They extended his contract. They went ahead and there was an option for 1 year to
Yeah, yeah.
trigger the option, and they went ahead and did it, even though he's not at the club and he doesn't want to be at the club. But it allows now
hmm
United to try to, for once, dictate the fees with their players. Like that's another thing that United haven't done well over the
Yeah.
last years.
Because
They seem to
there
sign
seems like
players.
there's genuine interest, and I've heard teams in Spain, Italy, and even so. I mean, I'm sure he'll end up somewhere, and not, we might as well get something from him, you know.
No, exactly. And I think from what I've read Barcelona's interested. I've seen Juventus is interested.
hmm
Um, So we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with Greenwood. I just don't. We talked to him before, and I don't want to keep beating a
Yeah,
dead horse.
yeah.
He's going to move on, but I think United did the best thing by triggering his 1 year option, and that way now they can actually get some money for him. But yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see with the amount of players that's going to go out. I think obviously we went through the list before. There's going to be like you rightly said, a double-digit number of players leaving. So it's going to be a busy summer. But I would love nothing more than Ineos just to come out and say, "Listen, we're supporting the manager," and then get this transfer policy that they're supposed to want to implement in place ASAP.
Well, and from what I've read, that they're planning on making a determination or an announcement on him this week. So if they haven't made it by the end of this week, because I believe the transfer window opens, next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they need to figure this out and start having things in place for the next season. It's actually, I heard somebody equate it to this, is like all the other teams are already preparing for the next season. United are still living in last season. Like, kind of like put that shit in the past. Let's make a decision and move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all you do is look at Chelsea for Christ's sake. Like
Yeah.
Chelsea just like they didn't.
They
They
actually,
didn't
hey,
keep Pochettino.
as dysfunctional as they were, like, they actually, like, at least they made a decision on a manager. It probably was the wrong decision, in my opinion, but at
Yeah.
least they made one,
No, exactly. So no, there's no more limbo. There's no more, you know, uncertainty floating over the club. Where United right now, we don't know who's going to be the next manager. We don't know who's going to come in. We know who's leaving. We don't know who's coming in to replace him. Like we've got Martial out the door, Varane's out the door. Casemiro is supposed to be touted to be going to Saudi Arabia for 85 million. And then so switch switch notes or whatever on this. But like there's rumors that Bruno might be leaving.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I think we both agree that we both want him back. And before we signed on tonight, there was an article. I think Steve Bruce was saying that it would be a massive mistake for Ineos to let him go. And I haven't, at least not that I recall him. I haven't really heard Bruno saying anything specifically about Ten Hag, but when I watch their relation, especially after the post game in the FA Cup, it seemed like both of them or Bruno was doing his post game, and Ten Hag went out of his way to come grab him and come celebrate with the team or whatever. So it seems like they have a good relationship, and from what I'm viewing.
No, they do, and that's the one thing you always want your captain and your manager to always be, aligned and be on the same page with everything and have a good relationship. But there was a few things that I was thinking about over the last few days after reading the first thing that Bayern Munich, the company, wants to make Bruno his first signing, is that
Yeah.
the interview after the FA Cup sort of now, it means more now after seeing all these kind of things. That Bruno did a post match interview, and they were saying about he asked a question about what about your future at the club with the uncertainty of the manager. What about your future? And he said, "I'll be here as long as they want me to be here. But if they don't want me here, obviously I'll leave." And I think that was almost like a mindset. Like Bruno wants a new contract. He wants a bumper deal.
Yeah.
I read an article earlier today saying that there's sources saying that his agents are going out talking to multiple clubs. Now, you and I talked already. I think that's just his agent trying to almost.
He's doing his job. He's trying to get the most money for his client.
Exactly. So I think that's his agent's trying to fearmonger United into saying, listen, if you don't want to pay him what we believe he's worth, somebody will, and we'll find that club that will. No, I think Bruno wants to leave. No, I think
he's made it abundantly clear he wants to stay.
Yeah, but I do think that he wants to feel satisfied, and like you and I talked about that as a captain.
Well, because this is probably realistically his last big contract, so he wants a payday, another payday.
Well, I think he wants a payday, but I also think he wants to win. He wants to win some significant trophies. Like he's giving United his prime years. It's hard for players to really think back if when they're done playing, they've hung up their boots and they want to all of a sudden look back at their playing career. Is he going to have any regrets? That's going to say, God, maybe I should have moved on from you. Maybe I could have ended up Barca. I could have ended up Real Madrid. I could have I could go to Bayern.
Playing for Champions League finals and
Exactly. So no, I think there's a couple of little premises that he's probably got in his mind that he wants from United. He wants to be, I personally think he wants to be the top earner. Which at the end of the day, if you look at the way his performances over the years, he's played with a broken hand. He's only missed one or two matches through illness and injury. I think he's definitely worth it. Now, are they going to throw crazy money at him like they've been doing over the last few years of 350 to 400,000 a week? I don't think they're going to do that, but I do think that what he should be is being the captain of the club. And you and I talked about this offline, where if you're the captain of the club, you should be the top earner, because it not only sets the precedent, being like if you're the captain, everyone needs to look up to you, not only on the pitch but also off the pitch, because of like, if you want that captaincy money, you gotta get to his level. You got
exactly.
You got to perform week in,
set the expectation, basically.
Yeah. Because that was the way it was growing up. I remember watching like Erik Cantona was a captain. Like Brian Robson was obviously a captain, right? When I was growing up, and then he unfortunately moved on. And then Cantona took over Steve Bruce. Then took over when they won as captain, and then it went on to Cantona, and then from Cantona on to
Keane.
And then Keane, like I idolized Keane growing up, and one of the things I remember, Keane got a new contract, and I think it's crazy thing that he was on like £120,000 a week back then.
Yeah, I know.
And he was a top earner, but I remember like reading all these different things and saying like the reason why he's that, because one, and if all you have to do is watch that 99 documentary and see how all the players revered him as being like the man.
That was my only knock on that, and they only played a audio clip of him. I wish he was more involved in this.
I don't think he wanted to be. I think that
he must not. I'm sure they had to have asked him.
I think they, like, I'm sure. Well, he works with Gary Neville and Sky Sports, so I'm sure they've asked him. But I think he just sort of. Keane's he's an enigma sometimes. Like there's times where you think you understand him, and then all of a sudden he doesn't. Because I think him and Ferguson, you read stories that they buried their hatchet, and you read other stories that he hasn't buried the hatchet with Ferguson. Blah blah blah. But, no, I would have loved to have seen Keane give his opinion on there, but there was a lot of players that like I didn't see how Solskjaer should have got more of a presence on that, in my opinion. But no, but just back to the captaincy with Bruno, his performance this year, I thought he was one of the players that I think he really worked his socks off. He tried his best. He played centre back against Liverpool. He played centre midfield, holding midfield, centre attacking midfield, false nine, right wing.
Yeah,
like he's played out, and he's done he's done it. And does he whinge? Does he moan? Yes, but if you look back at any captain, they bark orders, and like obviously he doesn't have that the tenacity that Keane would have. But
No.
which is that's fine. But at the end of the day, he's leading by example. He's letting his actions speak louder than his words. So
Yeah, exactly.
But so what I've read today is that he's being disgruntled that he's not the top earner, and he's seeing players like, and it might be pissing him off, like he sees players like Casemiro earn more than him, who decides like, oh well, I don't feel like playing because the manager dropped me. I think
Yeah.
Bruno's on some of the money to Tony Martial, believe it or not, and now he's gone. But we'll see. I would love for him to get a new contract. I would love for United to reward him with money that I think he deserves, and also hopefully going to win trophies. But we'll have to just wait and see. I think his agent's doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to go out there and get the best possible deal for their client.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's gonna get paid, regardless, because he's attracting interest, from all over. I've even heard, was it Al Nassr, the Saudi Arabian club that Ronaldo's at or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I hope he's with us. I want us to pay him. Shifting gears to another player, Sancho. Man, this guy, he's got when we were first started off the episode. This guy's got some balls, man. I don't really understand this guy at all. And I even a lot of people are chirping about him too. Mourinho in the post game of the Champions League. I mean, it's not like he did a lot or whatever. He basically had one decent game, and so I wasn't really aware of this either, but apparently, so was the semifinal game or whatever where he had the good match. Apparently, I guess that was like the main game on in the UK that game, so it was almost like everyone and probably in the UK saw that one performance and they just see that. Like, you got to look at the totality of what he did the whole year, and it was under I don't have his exact goal number in front of me right now, but I know it wasn't good. I know that.
Oh no, it wasn't good at all. And like I think it's just also the British media, just the fact that he's a an English player. They want to be able to, they want to try to put him up on a pedestal and blame Ten Hag for him not playing well. But I read reports out of Germany. Obviously, my little brother, he's big into German football. Like he's a big Borussia Dortmund fan, and there was multiple reports saying that when he went back over to Borussia Dortmund, that they weren't really happy with him. And the actual manager, like the Dortmund manager, came out and did something very similar to what Ten Hag did, and ridiculed him in public. And I didn't see any rebuttal from Sancho then. So I think he played 22 or 23 matches for Dortmund when he went back there. And he scored 3 goals and 3 assists.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Scooter, but I don't think that's literally like lighting the world on fire in terms of being able to like
nope.
To be able to say that, oh, I'm going to dictate now that if I go back to Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and I'm going to go back and dictate saying, I'll come back only if the manager's not there anymore.
Yeah.
If that's the kind of mentality the player's going to show now, he's going to do it over and over again. And if United end up, and this is back to the whole the balance of power that needs to be done at United, like the club needs to be like no one's bigger than the club. Like imagine back in the day, imagine if all of a sudden like let's just say David Beckham, for example, went out and loan.
Yeah.
He went and loaned to Preston North End, and say he had him and Ferguson fell out, and obviously they did fall out in 2002, 2003. But I read if he came out, Beckham came out and goes, I'll come back to United, only if Ferguson's not there. Now let's just take Ferguson's success out of the way and say Ferguson's on the same level as Ten Hag is right now. I can guarantee you right now that like Roy Keane would have grabbed him by the throat and said, I'll walk you to the airport. You're not coming back to this club.
Yeah, I can see you later. Take it easy. Yeah. We don't need you, Bex.
Yeah. So like I just don't understand. No, granted, is this just a puff piece done by some journalist that wants to try to like just create some sort of noise? Like we mentioned earlier, United, it's the season's over. Everyone should be talking about the Euros, but United are constantly always talked about. There's probably 4 or 5 stories a day.
Oh my God, all the time.
Yeah.
My phone notifications are going off on the hour.
Yeah. Whereas, you have other clubs that are sort of in limbo. Like you've got Barca that just changed the manager. Bayern just changed the manager. Liverpool just changed the manager. Chelsea just changed the manager. Like
Yeah.
there's so many uncertainties at all these other
Mbappe,
clubs. Mbappe going to Real Madrid.
yeah. I did quickly on him. This actually made me like him a little bit more. Is he's not going to take or he not that he would take it, but he's not going to, or he never asked for Modric's number at Madrid. So I kind of thought that was kind of cool. That he did that. I mean, I'm sure he'll end up with it whenever Modric decides to call it quits or whatever. But I thought that was cool of him.
Yeah, no, I read his interview too when he signed. He gave his first interview about signing for Real Madrid, saying it was a dream come true, and he talked about some of the stuff that happened at PSG, and he said that they banished him to like the reserves, they wouldn't let him train, and if it wasn't for Luis Enrique, he wouldn't have played again for PSG. But he said, listen, he goes, I'm not here. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to complain because I am paid very handsomely to play a sport that I love, that I would do for free. But he goes, and there's other people in the world that have a lot worse than me. There's people out there, there's laborers, there's bricklayers that have real problems going on. What I was going through wasn't a real problem. It was an unfortunate situation. But
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, like, to say that is to have that kind of mentality. It's at a young age, and just after seeing his move, you would think that he would try to bash PSG and really talk to everyone and say, "Per me, but look at me now," kind of thing. But
Yeah. He basically he said it subtly. He did it in a I think a very I guess what's
French
way? Yeah, very French way. Yes. Well, obviously PSG. I know they came out and made a statement pretty quickly after that, but yeah, I thought Mbappe handled the whole thing pretty classy.
No, he did, and I just like we'll see what happens with Sancho, but I don't think if his mindset's that with Ten Hag, especially after not really setting the world alight with his performances this year, like you said, like I don't really outside of he scored a goal against Liverpool, and he scored one against City, and he scored a couple other goals here and there, but it wasn't like there's nothing that really sort of like sticks in the back of my mind, like the way I think about little Kobe Mady or Garnacho or even McTominay, for example, against Brentford. Like there's matches that have other players that really stood out. Yeah,
well, and for him, to have any the previous issues about like all you have to do is look at Garnacho and Mano, young kids that are coming up, and they took advantage of their opportunities, and so obviously there is a path for that. You just got to take advantage of it, basically,
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. It's another situation that that Ten Hag has to deal with. So it's an unfortunate situation, but
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that if we can sell him, make a little bit of money on him, or if we have to loan him out again, that'd be totally fine with me. But
my only concern about loaning him out is after this season, he only has 1 year left in his contract, and I feel like though United won't get any kind of return on investment. That's right now his contract expires in June or July 2026. So if they loan him out next season, if you loan him out next season again, that's to say they do. I think if they are going to loan him out, they have to put a mandatory option to
buy. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely, because they're going to have to make something off of this.
Yeah, and then set the fee ahead of time. Don't wait until after season.
Yeah.
So no, because I'm sure people are going to say, well, you don't want to do that too. You don't want to count your eggs too early, because what if he goes out and has an amazing season? So say he goes back to Dortmund. Like, well, if he has an amazing season, Dortmund, let him go. Like,
honestly, like, even if he does, like, it wouldn't really bother me, because, like, I just don't really like his attitude. I feel like his attitude would be cancerous in the locker room.
Yeah, no, there's a reason Pep Guardiola let him go.
Yeah, exactly.
If he was, Pep did the same with Cole Palmer. Like, Palmer's actually playing really well, but I don't think Cole Palmer can be put. People were trying to compare that. I read the other day. Someone was trying to say, "Well, Pep let Sancho go." And I was like, "Ah, but he let Cole Palmer go. Look at Cole Palmer." And I was like, I think that Pep came out and openly said the reason why he let Cole Palmer go was because he couldn't guarantee him starting minutes over Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, John Stones.
Yeah.
Like he plays in the same position as Foden and De Bruyne. Like
Yeah.
so. And I think that's the same with if Sancho was to come back. Like, can Ten Hag guarantee him minutes? No, not based
No,
on
of
how
course not.
Garnacho. Not based on how Garnacho has been playing. Not based on. No, that's it. Like, we'll see what happens with Anthony. I don't know if Anthony's going to. Well, he should move on. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't know what's
hope
going to happen
so.
with Rashford.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going on with Rashford. Rashford might come in next season with some fire in his belly, getting left out of the England squad for the Euros, and obviously being ridiculed for United.
Based off if history repeats itself, have a good year, have a bad year, maybe he'll have a great year. Maybe he'll score 30 goals next year for us, D.
He does that. If you look up his stats right now, anyone that wants to look him up, you'll see Rashford literally goes through ebbs and flows.
He goes through spurts.
Yep. In one season he'll be awful, and the next season he bangs in like 20 plus goals, and then the next season he absolutely awful, and the next season he's banging in 25 plus goals. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But again, back to what we talked about, I think Ineos needs to go ahead and rip off the band-aid, if you will, of what they need to be done. They need to shit or get off the toilet and let us know exactly what's going to happen in terms of the manager.
I hope we hear something, at least by the end of this week. Going into, especially with the transfer window open, they need to figure it all out. I know before we wrap up, we're almost an hour in. I know both of us, especially with the Euros going on, I know we want to kind of spotlight some players. Or at least Man United players playing in the tournament or whatever. So I think that would be a fun little thing for us to do going forward. And I'm drawing a blank. Is it June 14th? When's it start again? Is it next week?
The Euros?
Is it? Yeah, is it the 14th?
I believe so. I'll just double
I think
check here, but
think it is the 14th.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
I'm more interested to see how little Kobe Mainoo fits into this England team, and if he can really continue his
form,
meteoric rise.
Yeah.
Open matches Scotland versus Germany at 3 p.m. our time, so 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. in England, and depending on where the part of Germany, maybe 9 p.m. But it's open matches Germany and Scotland. So it's what day is this? So next Friday?
Today's the 4th, next Friday. So next Friday. I think that would be fun for us. Throughout the summer to kind of spotlight some United players playing throughout the tournament or whatever. Briefly before we sign off, do you have any favorites that you think will win the Euros this year? Will Italy repeat?
Italy don't. I don't know. We'll
probably
see.
not.
Probably not. I think that was one of those kind of like perfect storms.
Yeah.
I know Germany's got a quality team.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly could be England's best opportunity to win a major trophy. I hate to say it, but like they might be able to. Because some people turn around and say, "Don't say it now," because of the fact that they always lose in penalties. But England's there, England's strong. Spain's always the dark horse,
of course.
Let's say, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the teams. But you just never know, because if somebody would have came to me in 2004, 20 years ago, and said, "Oh, by the way, Greece is going to win it," I'm like,
I know. Not a chance in hell.
You need to stop hanging out in Amsterdam and the coffee shops in Amsterdam. Get that one, but never in a million years I thought Greece would have won it. Just like in 1990, was it 90? Yeah, it was 92. Denmark went in and won.
Oh yeah.
So there was another dark horse in there. Nobody expected them. So you can never know. For all we know, we could be watching Poland. Lufted. We could be watching. I don't think Scotland. Well, Scotland are struggling at the minute, but
probably not. Maybe old Scott McTominay.
Well, no, I'm more interested just to see how a lot of the AI players play. You got Kobe Mania for
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
And I wouldn't mind watching to see if Garnacho plays at all in the Copa America for
Yeah,
Argentina as well.
Yep. I am glad that United stepped in on him. By the way, I know there was it Javier Mascherano off the was it the under 23
21s.
21s? Yeah, that I know they wanted him to play in the Olympics. So I'm sure that would be a fantastic experience for him. But selfishly from a Man United point of view, I'm glad that they said no to that.
Yeah, no, same here because he wouldn't be able to have a preseason because the Olympics end so
Yeah.
much later than the
Yep.
Euros. Like, the Olympics go into like almost late July, so he'll
Yeah.
be no sooner done with the Olympics, and then all of a sudden they'll go to United, and
Yep.
it'll be just another disaster waiting to happen with another injury just waiting to happen. So yeah, I'm
Exactly.
glad they did that. But then speaking of that too, was it Olise from the absolutely destroyed United single-handedly? He's actually going to the Olympics as well. So they said if United do sign him, he won't be able to have he wouldn't have a preseason with United. So
Yeah.
well, no, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, so next Friday, I'm sure we'll probably maybe we can get together for a couple drinks for a couple of games. But yeah, man, we're just over an hour in. It's good to get another episode in. I know it's been a little bit of a hiatus for us. If you like us or you don't like us, don't follow us. I don't really care. But if you like us, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social. Instagram, we get Biggie and Smalls. D, you're on Instagram these days, which is monumental. What's your Insta?
I think it's just dc.mcguigan.
dc.mcguigan. You can follow me at KeyFip86, and we will talk to you next week.